This is the It's Time to Refresh podcast with Brad Riffresh, the podcast about life, music, traveling, shit, literal shit that is, and weird and wacky stories with Brad and a range of guests from the planet Earth. Feel free to share the pod with your pals, your mom, your neighbor's dog, or even your shrink. It's all fun. You can follow our Facebook group called It's Time to Refresh Community, or It's Time to Refresh on Instagram. Write into the pod, ask questions, and share your stories. Enjoy the pod.
Hey kid, what time is that?
It's time to refresh.
Back once again with another podcast. This is episode 44 of the podcast. Honestly, it's been absolute flying at the minute. So I just want to say thanks to everyone who's watching it and sharing it before we start things today. Today we've got Woodzey. How we doing, mate?
Good. Yourself?
Class, mate.
Sorry.
Class.
Bring the
No
mic
worries.
up a bit.
No, it's no worries. Don't worry about it. Woodzey, for those who don't know, is Liverpool-based DJ. You've got fucking
Yeah.
a wide range of tasty music, haven't you?
Yeah. I just like electronic music. All sorts. I'm not saying I was a big part in the Liverpool club scene whatsoever.
Yeah.
I had good friends who were a big part, and I was sort of a mascot for them, if you get me. I used to carry the records around. That's what you used to play music off for you kids, MP3 generation. I'd never say I was anything big time in Liverpool whatsoever. I just was always appreciated to be involved in the scene in Liverpool. That's all I ever wanted to do.
You know, you've always been there though. Like you seem like, from what I've seen over the years, anyways. You've always been like sort of. You become sort of part of the paintwork with regards to the Scouse House stuff in Liverpool, I'd say.
Yeah, I suppose so. And my only wish was I was 5-6 years older, so I could have experienced sort of when it was in the peak. Yeah. I got involved because of my age a bit late. Sort of caught the arse end of it. I would have loved to have been older to experience Cream in the late 90s.
Yeah,
Big part of Liverpool. Before the 051, it had like the Buzz Club in the State. I would have loved to experience that.
I'd love to have went to the State, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I never. But I caught what
You caught what I wish I caught.
I caught what has given me some of the best memories of my life.
So some of the clubs, what's that? So it'd be like 051.
051.
Sunrise.
Sunrise was my favourite club ever. I think about the Sunrise on a daily basis. Still like 15 years down the line.
G-Bar?
G-Bar, I only ever went twice. I always found that part of town, G-Bar and Garland's, like the gay community, was a bit more, I'm not saying up its own arse, it was a bit more for a scally type person to get into.
Yeah.
That's another thing I wish I'd known at the time, but while I was focusing on Ultrabeat and Lee Butler, me second love, Hard House, was taking over Garland's, and I didn't even fucking know. You know, like BK and the Tidy Boys, Lisa Lashes, Lab 4 in Garland's, while I'm listening to Ian Redmond play Feeling Fine, which
it's good. It's still good.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
Yeah. It would have been good to get the taste of both. I didn't even know that they sort of broke into Liverpool, really.
Yeah, neither did I until late on, and then I noticed flyers and posters, and I was like, how the fuck have I missed that? But then, saying it, I probably could have queued up for an hour to get into Garland's, and the doorman would have said,
knock you back, yeah.
not tonight, lad.
Well, before we get into your thing and your story and that, I want to just ask you, like, what I've been asking everyone. Basically, what did you have for tea last night?
What did I have? Fish and chips.
Chippy fish and chips, are you?
Chippy fish and chips.
Have you got to go to?
I have got to go to, but I was in my father's. My mum and dad are separated. So I stayed in my dad's last night because I haven't seen him for about 2 weeks. And there's a chip shop down the road which has just been took over by new owners. So I thought I'd give it a try. really nice.
decent.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a decent chippy that you want to stick to as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
maybe that's just me, but fucking...
If you
that's
follow
really
me on Instagram, you might have seen that I put a picture of my local chip shop up for Valentine's Day the other day, because I don't have a girlfriend. My only love is a chippy, and it's called the Tung Fong in Liverpool, in Old Swan, and I've been going there 27 years, and it's just been so consistent, never had new owners, family run business,
class.
and it's the bomb.
Yeah, fucking, I'll be fucking chasing them up for a little royalty check on that. Nah, I'm only joking. No. Basically, like, fucking, with me, when it comes to chippies, it's like, where I'm from, it's so inconsistent, like, because it's like new owners, or they'll be cheeky as fucking, like, change the way they do, like, the chips or something like that. No?
Yeah. I'm quite lucky, to be honest. There's probably like 2 or 3 round by mine. I think Liverpool's a big chippy city. You know, with every Scouser's salt and pepper mad. You know what I mean? And shumais.
Salt and pepper shumais. Yeah, that's a massive.
Personally, though, I must be the only Scouser who doesn't like shumais. I've tried them once, and I'm like, I'd rather have like prawn toast or wontons or something.
I've
like
had them
that.
the proper way, like with obviously my missus being Chinese. Like we have it regularly for like breakfast and shit. So I've had it the proper way. But when it absolutely fried my brain when I came down here and you were fucking deep frying them and then put salt and pepper, that's fucking mental. I was like, wow. And you've adopted it as well. It's not even Chinese anymore. It's Scouse, that, isn't it?
It is Scouse. Like, there isn't anything more Scouse than salt and pepper shumais, you know what I mean? Like, a Scouser in a Monster X tracksuit with on-running trainees eating salt and pepper shumais. You can't get more Scouse than that.
Class.
What did you have for your tea?
We went to fucking... It was alright as well, that Asian food market on Renshaw Street.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. There's fucking neon signs everywhere.
It's intense, like, with the lightage and that outside. Yeah. So what we usually do when we come down, we go to Big Bowl, just...
Only,
decent in
opposite
there.
the bombed out church.
Yeah. And we said, we'll go in here and try this. So I got fucking... She went to, there was like, because they're all different brands in there and that. She got like a Mongkok dim sum that looked nice, to be fair. And I got a... Did I get sweet and chili chicken? Oh, sweet and chili beef, sorry, and rice from like a little shop thing opposite.
Yeah.
Fucking class, mate. Like, this is what I love about Liverpool. You don't get shit like this down, like... I always say, like, as a bit of a fucking running joke, that, well, I say joke, but Liverpool's my favourite city in the world.
Yeah.
In the world. Like, fucking crazy that, isn't it? Like, I consider myself well travelled in that as well, but it's so...
Yeah, same. I've been all over the world, and I love Liverpool. It's
got everything you want there.
It's hit and miss. Realistically, there's 2 sides to it. Obviously, we talk about all the food and all the stuff you can do in Liverpool, but then you have the knife crime and the gun crime and stuff like that. But that's the same as anywhere, you know what I mean?
Everywhere's got its bad side to it as well. I wouldn't sort of discredit it anyways.
But yeah, I love it. I'm very proud of wherever I am in the world telling people I am from Liverpool.
You always come across them as well. Like, have you noticed that? You go somewhere, like, you could, like, we went to Hong Kong just gone sort of September there, and we sort of go every year. I went to this bar for some food, like traditional like dim sum breakfast and that, where, do you know when you go in, it's all the spinny tables and stuff like that, like, and just I felt like I was the only white guy in there, so I was there, and I heard this voice and I was like, fuck, turned around and it was 2 Scousers on holiday there, and I'm just like, you literally find them anywhere you go. It's mental.
I've been in New York and like walked past the Hugo Boss shop and seen Scousers in the Hugo Boss shop buying a polo, like what they can buy in the Hugo Boss shop in Liverpool, but it is, they're everywhere.
Well, now we're talking about Liverpool and that, we'll sort of get into your story then, if that's alright.
Go ahead, yeah.
Are you from Liverpool all your life? Like,
all my life. Born in Liverpool, in Mill Road Hospital, if you really want to know. It's not there anymore, it's been flattened. Right. Always lived in Liverpool, always lived within 4 miles of the city centre and football stadium, and I'll probably never move, really. I still live with my mum.
Yeah.
That's my personal choice. I didn't get some girl up the duff 20 years ago, and now I'm hook, line and sinker with 3 kids. You know what I mean? It's been my personal choice to live with my mum, and my brother lives with us as well. We have a laugh.
Yeah.
Mum never needs a gardener, never needs an electrician. Maybe one day I meet somebody, but up to now, I've Done fine for 37 years.
So you was talking about your parents before.
Yeah.
Are they into music out like that?
I wouldn't say they're into music, really. I have fond memories of a kid growing up and of a Sunday, while my mum's cooking the dinner and things, they'd put the vinyl on and it'd be a mix of everything. My mum likes George Michael. My dad likes his music. Couldn't really nail down a sound, what he likes or anything. There was always music in the house when I was growing up. A lot of vinyl.
Where did the music come from then when you discovered it?
I don't really know, to be honest. I just sort of picked up on it myself. If you really want to know, the first album I bought was PJ and Duncan, Psych, which are betterly known as Ant and Dec. I basically bought the album for Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
There was fuck all else on it. I just wore it out.
Class.
But then I'd always be interested in music. Whether it was probably like the Now albums and that. And I never really had a particular sound what I was into.
Yeah.
I liked, wow, that song what was in the charts, blah blah blah. Then I started buying like CD singles.
Yeah.
And immediately it was, let's look for the extended mix, or let's look for the Dancing Divas mix, or let's look for the Lisa Marie Experience mix. It wasn't the radio edit I was after.
Yeah.
It was the
full
remix,
thing,
track 3 or track 4, which then sort of pushed myself into
It's like going into electronic, more
electronic dance music. Then as I got a bit older, into early teens, it was your Cream albums, your early Ministry of Sound, Pete Tong albums.
Everyone had them, didn't they?
Yeah, I still listen to them now. But yeah, it sort of stemmed from that until I heard a tape when we were meant to be in school, but we were in some girl's house, and it was like a live recording of Club 051 in Liverpool, I think. And I heard DJ Disco, Stamp Your Feet, and I was like, this is what I've been looking for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it sort of stemmed from there.
What was it?
Which?
No, like the DJ Disco Stamp Your Feet. What was it that caught your eye? Was it the BPM, the beat,
the repetitive kick, bass line, the hits in it, everything. So I could sort of give me mate some dues. Neil, who I grew up with in my old road where he used to live.
Yeah.
He used to put on I think it was every Friday, he'd DJ in the local church. And he didn't have a fucking set of Technics and that. He had a CD player and an old Hitachi CD player with a mixer. And I always used to go with him, and I just used to find it fascinating. It wasn't like he was working the crowd or anything. He was just playing the right tunes, what the kids wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And I sort of, he was a bit older than me, so he was, I must have been 12, 13, he was 16. And he was going to the clubs in Liverpool, like I mentioned, the Buzz Club and things, and he was coming back with these tapes and CDs, and I was like, this is what I need to be doing. Obviously I was too young.
Yeah.
He then lent me a mixer, and then that just changed the game. I was like, so that's how you do it.
Yeah. How long did it take for it to click?
Click as in what?
As in the DJing side of things, like, because when everyone starts off, it's like no one really knows what they're doing unless someone's...
Yeah, exactly. He lent me that mixer, and I took the CD player out of my dad's stack, and then I had a CD player in my room, and it was just like that. Boom, changed. There was no mixing involved because I didn't have pitch control, nothing like that. So then he asked for the mixer back, so that's when I realised I need my own mixer.
Yeah.
So for my birthday I got a Newmark Blue Dog, which I think most DJs around that area will have started on one of these. It had 2 channels and a gain. That was it.
I can remember them actually.
Yeah. Bomb-proof. It probably still work now if I still had it. I don't know what ever happened to it, to be fair. But yeah. And then I realised that the music I needed and wanted wasn't on CD, it was on vinyl.
Right.
So then it was like, okay, need to set the turntables. And my mum and dad, I'm not dissing them whatsoever, they weren't going to go out and buy me a set of Technics.
Yeah.
They would never go out and buy me a Lacoste tracksuit. They would never go out and buy me a pair of Rockport.
Yeah.
Things like that. So my birthday was in September, so I had to get one turntable for my birthday in September, and then wait 3 months till Christmas to get another one.
You can get ahead though doing that, because obviously you could play a CD on the
Exactly.
on the CD.
That's what I was doing. That's exactly what I was doing.
We've had a similar sort of thing. And that was the same as what I did.
And that's sort of how I got started. Probably the same as most people, really.
So then, did it click with you whilst you were mixing from CD to the vinyl?
The beat matching click, do you mean? I honestly couldn't nail down when I figured it out. And nobody ever taught me or nothing like that. I always remember going to a house party and I took the turntables, and there was a guy there who he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't need to keep speeding it up with your finger, that's what the pitch control's for. I was like, now it fucking makes sense, you know what I mean? I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
I knew I had to match the beats. I was using my finger to keep the record I was mixing in
Hard that.
in time. It was, fuck me.
Yeah.
And then he said, no, keep moving your finger, but move the pitch. And then once it's in the right place, you don't need to keep doing that. And I was like, he's onto something here. Obviously, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And that's it from there.
So sort of going forward then,
Yeah.
what was your first rave experience?
Rave experience. I must have been 15. I think it was my 15th birthday. I went to the aquarium in Liverpool, which probably after the Sunrise Club was my favourite club.
Yeah.
I wasn't even old enough to be in the gaff. I don't think anybody in there was, to be honest. Even the doorman at 3 a.m. used to say, come on, school tomorrow. Because we used to go over Thursday. Thursday nights in Liverpool were really big.
Yeah.
And I went. And it had 2 rooms. It'd open at 10. And you go in the room downstairs. They build it up with a funky house.
Yeah.
And then at 11 o'clock, upstairs it open. Downstairs at 10 o'clock, you had Ian Redman and a guy called Matt Ashton. They were 2 best mates.
Yeah.
I didn't know them at the time. Because I was wanted to be so involved in the scene. I just hung around the DJ box. I didn't really know how to dance until I got some substances into my body.
Yeah.
It just does it itself then, doesn't it? But I was just so in awe of years of listening to this stuff on the radio and that.
Yeah.
You're just listening to it, and in your head you're picturing, I wonder what this club's like, you know what I mean? You can hear the live recording of the people, you can hear the DJ.
Yeah.
So it was, I was just in awe, and I was for years, to be fair. And I just used to stand next to the DJ box, watching what they were doing. I'd watch, Mark Simon used to be on at 11 p.m. till about 12, 1, he'd do a warm-up set, which is very underrated. We'll touch on that later. And then I'd just stand there waiting for these DJs like Lee Butler and Pez Teller to turn up, and they were just like rock stars to me.
Yeah. I think that likes to like Lee and that, like, they're within the city, they are like fucking, they are like
they were gods.
in this bubble of Liverpool.
Yeah.
They are like like celebrities, aren't they? Like,
They were, especially at that time.
Yeah.
Like even before I went to the clubs, I'd go to the like 3-beat and different record shops, and if I seen them in there, it was like I'd seen Ozzy Osbourne or fucking somebody like that. They were like gods, you know what I mean? And I'd never approach them. I'd be too scared, and then I'd go to school and I'd go, guess who I seen at the weekend? And I'd be too scared to approach them. Years down the line, I got to know them, and yet again was still in awe of these people.
Yeah.
And still was really, because they just give me so many good memories.
Yeah. I think my anticipation as well for, like, I've had 2, like, it's going to sound so bad, but at the same time so understandable, just so you can sort of get, I'm that enthralled into the music, and like I've got some sort of obsession problem where it's like if I like something, I like it. We're talking off pod. I like comedy. I like wrestling. I like Star Wars. Like
I grew up on wrestling.
Yeah, but like my thing is, I'm so fixated that everything else around it sort of doesn't count. Do you know what I mean? It sounds really
exactly,
bad,
and that's sort of what I'll touch on. Because I was so enthralled, if that's even a word, I don't know. In the Liverpool scene and what these gods were doing, I was totally oblivious to fucking Pete Tong and Carl Cox and things like that.
Else going on outside.
I didn't really know it existed.
Yeah.
Obviously I did with the mix CDs, and like I used to buy Mix Mag and I'd read it, and basically I didn't have a fucking clue what it was on about. I was looking if there was any scouts out in Mix Mag. This was never going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was a bit naive to the whole spectrum of DJing, because I was so focused on Liverpool and these people.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be a part of that so much. In the end I did. As I said before, I never become anything big, and never ever will say that I did or I was. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be so part of that scene, whether it was carrying somebody's record bag for them or helping them in any way. You know what I mean? If they couldn't find a tune and I had that tune, I'd fucking lend them that, no problem.
Yeah. I think you're not necessarily, like, as I say, do you know what I mean? You're not saying you made it out like that, but I think within the circle of the circuit DJs that we both know, you're very respected in that regard.
Yeah.
Like, if I talk to anyone, as I say, I've talked to Rob, or talked to John Neal or someone. If your name comes up, like you've earned the respect of them. Do you know what I mean?
Because as we were saying before the podcast, I think that's like a lost cause. That's what it was about back in the day, hanging around the record shops. Like, I never used to go to school. I used to tell my mum I was going to school, but I'd catch the bus into town. And sometimes I'd be at the record shop before the staff. And eventually I ended up getting a job that way. They were like, well, you're here before us. Here's a set of keys, just open up. And when we turn up, we turn up.
Yeah.
And it was just that of, when's this tune out? Oh, where'd you hear that? Lee Butler, don't even know what it's called, or it'll be out in 6 months.
What record shop was it?
It was called Plastic Records.
Yeah.
It was never as big as 3 Beat. But it's where it gave so many DJs like Rob Kane and Ian Redman a chance.
Yeah.
It was very underrated. It was a lot more underground, a lot more second-hand stuff compared to 3 Beat, who were selling records to fucking Sasha and Digweed and things like that. Plastic was never like that. And nobody ever said it was bigger than 3 Beat or anything. But it was always, sometimes it was the first port of call for some DJs.
Yeah.
But it was more like a youth club. You know what I mean? People would come in, all right, Alan, how's it going? Blah. That's how I met Rob and Ian Redman, through that shop.
Well, you were going in buying records and that,
I was going in buying records. Sometimes I wouldn't even have money. I'd sit in there for 8 hours a day, listening. What's he buying there? Why is he buying that? That's shit. Oh, you know what I mean? And then people would come in with second-hand records. You know, do you want to buy these 50 records there? Yeah. And Rob would flick through and go, I'm having that. He goes, do you want any of them? I go, fucking 95 North, the request for a £5, no problem. You know what I mean? But same with, like, obviously Mike DeScala now is just blown the roof off what he's done, and well deserved. But he used to do the same. Yeah. He used to come and hang around, you know what I mean? Get a ciggy lad coming for a ciggy outside, or going to get a bite to eat. It'd just be like a community in these shops. And that's sort of how you paid your dues as a DJ, as I was saying, like about footballers back in the past, like Jamie Carragher and Steven Gerrard. They used to have to clean older players' boots, John Barnes' boots, and that to like earn their dues as a footballer. Yeah. Obviously they were talented and things like that, but it sort of it got you noticed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I always remember once Rob saying to me, this was a Saturday, he's like, if you come to the club tonight, the aquarium, you can have a go. And I was like, holy shit. And then, but I got that. I didn't lick his ass, or I wasn't giving him a CD every
you weren't saying
week.
book me.
Yeah, no, he's like, come down tonight, I know you're interested, and I'll give you I'll go with the decks. And I was like, okay, cool, sound. I've sort of got what I ever wanted, and that's one thing what I say to people where I work now, things like that. Like, I conquered my dreams by the time I was 17, 18. All I ever wanted to do was be involved in that scene, and maybe one day play a gig in one of the clubs. And I did that by the time I was 17, 18.
Yeah.
So now, I just live my life. I've done everything I ever wanted to do.
Yeah. So what was the first tune you played then?
First
I
tune
know for a fact you know it because you've got this. I've noticed when you play sets and mixes and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you're very you know your sort of tunes and not what's going into what and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
you've got a good memory of like, oh, when you played this or when you played that. I
Yeah,
picked
yeah.
up on that. So go on. What was the
First tune I played where? In a club?
When Rob said come down to the
Oh,
aquarium.
it was only Funky House, to be honest, because where Rob used to play downstairs in the aquarium club.
Yeah.
Like I said, all the big hitters played upstairs.
Yeah.
At the time, no disrespect, Rob wasn't a big hitter.
Yeah.
He was still very talented, very under the radar, and he played the downstairs room most of the night, I think it was.
Yeah.
He just played Funky House. And if you got a bit bored of the Scouse house upstairs, you'd always come down, or if you were wired out of your skull on the tablets and fancied to chill out downstairs, you could, and the music was a bit mellower.
Yeah.
It was a lot of Funky House. It hadn't really took off as big as it was, the Funky House, in them years. I'll be honest, I can't really remember what I played. I think it might have been like some early Mick the Scala bits where he was under the alias of Sumo.
Yeah.
What's it called? Mind, Body and Soul, things like that.
Right.
Some people probably don't even know he made them because they were more focused on the BCD stuff. But
Yeah.
it did actually come out on BCD. It was never really what I wanted to play. Obviously, I wanted to turn up and play fucking Alex K, Shake It Up 6 times. you know.
Yeah.
But that never happened. I'm not really arsed.
I'm glad that you admit that you got the understanding of it though. Like you see a lot of DJs now, no disrespect to people, but like they get that opportunity you got,
Yeah.
and they'll turn up and play 155 open an hour, and it's like
I'll be honest.
like
What was it? What could you say? So, 2010, 2011, 2012, I started to get some local gigs over in the Wirral, Liverpool,
Yeah.
through a guy called Fat Pete. I don't know if he's still about. I don't have Facebook.
was it Back to the Anthems? Was
Back to the Anthems,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Rehab was his brand.
Yeah.
And then, I'll be honest, I was taking substances and things like that, so I wasn't really asked. I was getting 50 quid. And I just thought, went balls deep in, what have I always wanted to do? I've always just wanted to play Shake It Up and fucking whatever, kicking hard.
Yeah.
So I'd turn up at 10 o'clock and play them.
Yeah.
Where I shouldn't have. And I think after that, then when I didn't have any gigs and things like that, I realised that I'd done wrong. I hadn't done wrong in a big sense, because the people who were there, they weren't asked anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What would you call it? Donk idiots.
Yeah.
Things like that. They didn't care what music was getting played at 10 o'clock or what was getting played at 1:30.
Yeah.
But I look back on myself and I let myself down there by doing that.
Yeah.
But then even now, if I'd have done the warm-up sets, which I'd probably do now, it would have went right over their heads anyway.
Yeah.
As I was saying about the warm-up set, I think that's the most important set, and I learnt that from Rob, learnt that from Ian.
Yeah.
When I go to the aquarium club at 10 o'clock, Ian wouldn't be playing Bushwankers Work That Arse at 10:10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He'd be playing your early funky house stuff, Junior Jack, stuff like that, Billie Jean, the Bushwhacker mix.
Yeah.
And it'd build, and this is one thing probably what still exists in your scene, as you've just said, people turning up and playing a hardstyle mix of Avicii levels at 10:10, and you're peaking too early, you know what I mean? Even listening to old Lee Butler CDs and things, for the 80 minutes it took you on a journey.
There's psychology behind it, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly that, and that's how I'd want to see it. So that's how I would play now if I got any gigs. I'm
Yeah.
not fishing for gigs or anything, because I'll probably turn you down anyway, to be honest. And that's one thing, what you call a scene, I don't class it as a scene really,
Yeah.
bounce, whatever. It's just, I don't know how it survived that long, because it's shit, really. But yeah, there's no logic to it.
Yeah.
I always wondered as well, like, I don't know, like if who's big at the moment, Fisher or whatever. If Fisher's on, say, in like the Warehouse Project at 2 a.m, is the DJ who's on at 10, 11 and 12, are they progressing it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know because I don't go.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I think it's a lost art of building a club the way it should be.
I think there's a big difference as well. You were saying about the Fisher thing there at Warehouse. I think there's a big difference between going to a nightclub and going to a show. Because theirs is a...
It's a show.
It's like big pyros and screens.
Exactly. Same with like Eric Prydz, all this visual, not for me.
Yeah.
Just play the music. He's a talented producer. You don't need all that. You just need 4 CDJs, a mixer, and 1 spotlight on him.
Yeah.
That's all you need. That's why I love the Sunrise.
Yeah.
Sunrise had 1 light.
And it was like a basic...
It was basic. It was very, very low ceiling. I think even the speakers were on the ceiling facing down. It had 1 light, a smoke machine. It was about the music. The music took you on a journey.
Yeah.
But that place had open at 1 a.m. So you could go to your aquarium, your 051, and at 10 p.m, it'd warm up. By 12, maybe Lee Butler would come on, start playing your Scouse House bits. And then you could go, you could go up to the Sunrise at 1 o'clock and it'd start again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though it was 1 a.m, it wasn't banging. It'd start again because it was open till 6. So by 3, it was starting to get really heavy. But that's why I loved it. It was so underrated. Obviously, it rivaled the Pleasure Rooms because there was 2 after-hours clubs in Liverpool, Sunrise and Pleasure Rooms. Yeah. Pleasure Rooms took off. I don't know whether it was because of the radio broadcast. I don't know whether the MC thing had just started to come in. Yeah. And it took off, and for a lot of people, it outlaid the Sunrise. But if you ask Rob, if you ask people who know what they're talking about, they'd always say the Sunrise more. Yeah. Because of what it would play. Tom Craft, Steve Morano tunes. The music was so varied. And most people had never added the nut. So it just worked, if you get me.
Right, we're just going to pause there for the end of part 1. All right, how we doing? Just want to take a second of your time before we start today's episode, and I want to tell you about our Patreon. Patreon is a tool that we use to financially support this podcast. For as little as £3 a month, you can support us and what we do. It pays towards our travel, our editing time, recording equipment, making things better, essentially, for the podcast. But in return, we give you at least 1 bonus episode per month. Early access to the public episodes, which you're watching now, so you get these a couple of days early. And also, as well, I'll be giving away all my tracks on there. So if you subscribe for £3 a month, you might get £10 worth of tracks. Every track that I produce will be going on the Patreon page. So for as little as £3, you can support the cause. You won't even notice it going out your bank. Sign up now at patreon.com/ It's Time to Refresh. That is patreon.com/ It's Time to Refresh. You know you're a fucking belter. Nice one. So back for part 2 of the podcast. I hope you're enjoying it so far. I'm proper right into this story, to be honest with you. So I want to get into the sort of we were talking about Liverpool there and what Scouse House is to the city and everything like that. So we'll move on and we'll talk maybe like the back end of the peak era, sort of say.
Yeah. Well, so by the time I'd made a lot of friends in the scene, I was friends with Rob, working in the shop where Rob worked, meeting all these people. I got to know Ian, better known as Ian Redmond from Ultrabeat. Yeah. He sort of took me under his wing. In so much debt for what he did for me. Yeah. Let him down on a few occasions, not gonna lie. But for the rest of my life, I'll probably be in so much debt to Ian and what he did for me. Yeah. He had the DJ school up in above 3 Beat. Yeah. Used to put a lot of effort into teaching kids, bringing. I think now I couldn't name any names, but a lot of DJs who are in Liverpool now went through Ian's DJ school, learnt a lot, and it was great. I could literally walk down the corridor and go and watch Mike the Scala make Module 1 You know what I mean? How many people can say I'm not being big-headed or anything, but I could go and sit in the studio on a couch and watch Mike make tunes. Some people will pay a lot of money to watch him do that nowadays.
Yeah, it's a big thing now, isn't it? Watching producers.
Yeah, but it was very open and watching like how he worked, and it's like, what was the thing he did? Open One Eye, where it was the eye opener vocal over Module 1. He was making his hardcore remix of Eye Opener, and the guy in the studio behind him was playing Module 1, and he just went, aye. And that's how we made it.
Fucking hell.
But it wasn't just Mike. Obviously, a lot of people were coming through. Ian School, it was like a hub. Like Lee S, Dizzy DJs, Puddy, Steve Brett, who's now known as Club Filler. Respect all of them. It was just like a hub.
I think communities like that, right? Like, this is my personal opinion.
Yeah.
That's when scenes thrive. When you've got hungry talent.
It was, and it wasn't for me. I sort of seen that as the beginning and the end for Scouse House. And
but if you look at them names there, they've went off and they've created something else.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I remember watching an interview with Ferry Cosner just ago. He's a hero of mine, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
And he was saying when the trance thing was becoming a thing, and everyone was like, they didn't have a name for trance, but basically, like, he was going to the record shops, and there'd be like Tiesto, him, and all the other big names. They weren't big names as such yet, but they were the local DJs, and they were all on the hunt for this same sort of thing. And it's that community that's spread out across the world. If you look at that, it's that on a smaller scale. If you look at the likes of Steve, Club Filler, he's went off and done his own thing, but he progressed some of the bounce stuff. Do you know what I mean? When you use some of them early Stevie B mixes. Lee S, another fucking fantastic,
definitely,
bounce producer. Well,
and it was, and it just sort of made it stale for me though. As good as it was, it just wasn't Scouse House anymore. Scouse House to me was a mixture of funky house, a mixture of trance. You could mix fucking Lange, Follow Me into club heads kicking hard, then it'd be something else like a remix of a chart song. That's what Scouse House was about. It was a bit of everything.
It come a bit DIY, do you not think?
Exactly.
Because if you just round off them tunes there is different like subgenres of what it is, but it was known as Scouse. But it's like all Europeans. So at this point, it's like DIY British.
Once it started becoming homemade, that was it for me. It was just too generic. There was nothing. And then going to clubs and hearing DJs playing an hour's worth of Mike the Scarlet tunes, and don't get me wrong, they were all great tunes, and they were all structured the way you could mix them so good, baseline to baseline, everything worked. It was just boring. It wasn't the same anymore. So, and then after that, obviously started like the donk up era. What's a big funky house tune sound? Kick and bass, donk.
Do you think that this was a general consensus? Like, do you think ravers were picking up on this of its time?
In a way, yeah. A lot of people then started to move to like the funky house era in Liverpool, which was a very big thing, and a thing I loved. I know Rob loved it as well. We were always together 3-4 nights a week at that time, and we worked in the shop, so we were picking up on these tunes. But I just thought it had just become stale, and it was sort of the end, really, of what I knew as Scouse House. Then, like, one of my absolute heroes come over, Alex K from Australia. And yet again, I was like, fuck me, this guy's a rock star. Realistically, well, he was just kicking donk. Know what I mean? But he come over, and we picked him up from the airport. We were like his first point of contact. Second point, because he went to see Amen in London first. And then he come up to Liverpool, and it was just, I was like, I never thought I'd fucking meet this guy, you know what I mean? And it was just, thanks for making Shake It Up. Thanks for Angel in My Heart.
What's your opinion on the crossover between the Aussie stuff to the British stuff, like because the culture is so much the same yet so different. If you listen to what's being put out now, I think you might like it. There's the do you know, like Dave Austin.
I'll be honest, I haven't heard any of it.
I'll send you some of it over.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So.
It's like they've really brought back this like NRG type thing. So
Yeah.
there's what's his name? Charlie Brown, I think it's called. Charlie Brown, Nick Nova, Dave Austin.
Yeah.
And they've really like created this scene between them, and it's all 140 sort of. They're remixing a lot of like charty vocals and stuff like that, but there is bits and bobs there. I'm like, oh, that's quite good. That.
Okay, yeah. So that's the same sort of thing.
It's heavily inspired by Alex K.
Yeah.
You can hear it in all the tunes.
And
so when he
rightly
came here,
so really, he was one of the pioneers.
Yeah.
For myself, obviously, then local people got involved. Mike just flipped it on its head. Like, this is how you make a tune. It has 32 beats as an intro, 32 beats as an outro. It has one break, and then it has a second break and kicks back in. He sort of put the groundwork down for how a Scouse tune should sound, but that was sort of starting the bounce scene, lighting the fire of the bounce scene. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear some of that.
Yeah, I'll send it over to you. So that's what I was saying about getting on to, about Alex.
Yeah.
What do you think was it with the crossover? Did you think that it translated to the Liverpool crowd well?
Alex coming over here, 100%. And he sort of freshened it up a bit. Obviously, what are we talking now? 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
Angel in My Heart, I Can't Wait would have been 4 or 5 years old. So we just donked them. He just freshened them up. I always remember him first coming to Ian's studio and I said, well, what's in your CD wallet? Like his CD wallet to myself would have been like a checkbook. And he put a CD in and pressed play, and as soon as he pressed play and I heard the Angel in My Heart loop, I knew he donked it before the bass line even come in, and I was like, that's gonna work. And but then everybody started doing it, you know what I mean? No disrespect to like Hodge and people like that, they were just making easy tunes. Yeah, let's just put a donk on it. No pun intended. Yeah. And to me, that was it. It was done. But I'd always had another love of hard house. Yeah. Which then I sort of went, okay, Scouse House, shit. I love this more.
So what was that? So now we're on to this. Yeah. What was the clicking point for you? What tune had you heard within hard house where you're like, it's still very relatable, yet like I like. So this.
at the time, I was heavily into the Scouse House. This is 2000. Can't really name some tunes. What come out 2000 Scouse House wise? Careless Whisper, things like that. I think that was 2001. Yeah. There was big Scouse House tunes. But I bought Hard House Euphoria, the very first Hard House Euphoria.
Class, by the way, that.
Bright orange. Yeah. And that just changed the game for me. I was like, this is the music I like. And I wish I'd went that way, personally. But it is what it is, isn't it? So it was like Rachel O'Byrne, Bass Keeps Pumping. Yeah. That to me is just the epitome of like a hard house tune, bouncy hard house tune. Yeah. There was all other tunes on there, don't get me wrong. Some people probably won't know what they are. John Whiteman and Ingo tunes.
Absolutely fantastic remix of Signum. Oh my god, that is phenomenal.
That is just hard house to me. People call that bounce nowadays. That's not bounce. And that's where we were talking before, talk about like Andy Whitby. When he, was it AW5, he used to bring these mixes out called AW1, AW...
Oh yeah, I remember
This is probably before all you donk idiots even knew who he was. And me and my friend had listened to these and we were like, oh, we need to see this guy. So we went to Tidy Weekend there, anticipated, waiting to see Andy Whitby. Yeah. And he played System F Cry. And I was like, no. I've heard this for the last 2 years in the fucking pleasure rooms. Yeah. And it just let me down. And I'm not knocking him, and I'm not knocking what he did whatsoever. he sort of ran out of resources of hard house, you know what I mean? So then he was pulling bits of club filler tunes. No disrespect to Steve if he's listening. He was pulling these, and I thought, I've missed them. You know what I mean? I wanted to see this guy 2 years earlier. But what a DJ! But I'm a bit gutted and missed Andy Whitby for what hard house people know Andy Whitby for.
So what year was this thing that you went to Tidy Weekend?
Couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
If it was the back end of the AW era, so I'm going to say, are you about 2007? Does that sound about right?
Probably, yeah.
Maybe.
Because I used to go to, I don't want to waffle on about this too much.
Oh, yeah.
Used to go to Magaluf with Ian Redmond. Ian Redmond used to DJ in Magaluf over summer.
Yeah.
So, because I was close to him at the time, I used to go over with him a couple of times a year. We'd go, and then we ended up just staying out there the whole summer, a few years. So that must have been 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
We'd spend the 7 months there. We'd go April the 1st, come home late September. And that is when I started going to Tidy Weekenders, because they were in the October.
Yeah.
So I'd come home from Magaluf, I'd go to Tidy Weekender.
What do you reckon of Magaluf?
At the time, it was unbelievable. I couldn't tell you what it's like now. I know that you have the, ultimate bounce getaway, whatever it's called. But I haven't been there for 12 years, so I couldn't tell you.
I'm not going to lie to you, mate, right? Truthfully. Magaluf, to me, if I went there April the 1st, I'd be done by April the 4th.
Yeah,
Like, it sends my head completely west.
Yeah.
Like,
so, but it was different for me, because I was working there. And so
I think even working.
Yeah,
I think
so
even
was
working.
he.
Like,
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, I was a right mess. Probably let myself down and let other people down on more occasions than one working out there, and that's no fault of my own. But when I was there, it was just unbelievable. You go on a boat party for 4 hours. You know, I think we were still playing vinyl back in them days, because I remember it was so hot once that the vinyl was melting on the turntable as it was playing.
Oh, class.
So like I was having to stand there with the sleeve of the record making shade. So by the time the vinyl had finished, it hadn't fucking turned into a Rice Krispies bowl.
Yeah.
But then there was so many things. Obviously Ian was DJing in BCM, which was the biggest club over there. Because he was close with the people to BCM, we could just walk in there any night of the week and just sit in the DJ box with fucking Armin van Buuren. Stuff what I never ever dreamed of. You know what I mean? We sat in an office with can't even name people at the time, like I said, Armin van Buuren and things like that. I got a few opportunities myself. Pleasure Rooms used to come over of a Wednesday, and he used to do, was it 12 till 4 Pleasure Room, and I constantly pestered the DJs in this club, Boomerang, saying, give me a go, and like, we can't just give you a go, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, but I'm better than you. To the residents, probably a bit cuntish, really. But then he approached me and he said, well, the Pleasure Rooms finishes at 4 o'clock. Our residents then can't go on and play house music till 6. It just doesn't work. It kills the club.
Yeah.
Can you fill the last 2 hours? I was like, no problem.
Yeah.
And it was a bit stubborn. I'd never play to the crowd, and that's one of my things, really. Like, I know the whole point of a DJ is to entertain the crowd, but I have 2 DJs in my head. You'd have like a club DJ, and you'd have a pub DJ.
Yeah.
You'd have a pub DJ or club who their sole job is to read the crowd, to make them happy, to keep them in the club, so they spend the money in the club. But then you have a club DJ who could play the fucking Birdie song and Agadoo, but people are going to see that person. And that's my thing.
Yeah.
When I have a gig, I'll play what the fuck I want. I'm not going to play Show Me Love, because I don't like it. I haven't even got a copy of it.
Yeah.
If you come to the club and Woodzey is on, then you're getting what Woodzey wants to play.
Yeah.
And it's probably a bit stubborn, but that's just how I feel. I'm not going to turn up and play music what I don't like, because what's the fucking point?
There's 2 types of club DJ, in my opinion, though. Like, you get the ones who are the crowd readers, and they'll sort of play anything to keep that dance floor full.
Yeah.
But then there's like the educators as well. So like you play music. I've touched on this on so many podcasts, but you you play music that you think the people want to hear and you think is a genuinely good tune. If you think
Yeah.
that they need to hear this bass line, and then you fucking bring it in.
Yeah.
If it goes off, it goes off. It doesn't. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're just trying to show people.
Educate,
Yeah,
as you said.
yeah.
I've did this when I was still involved 10 years ago, whatever. I got booked by Kenty to play the warm-up for an acceleration event in Warehouse 1.
Oh, in Blackburn,
Yeah. So I played and I thought, right, I'm going to do the warm-up the way I do the warm-up. Half an hour in, why are you playing deep house? I'm like, number one, mate, this isn't deep house. Number two, if you think this is deep house, this isn't Kenty, by the way, this is a promoter. If you think this is deep house, mate, you need to fucking reevaluate your music style. And I'm like, well, can't you play fucking blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, well, no, because that's like 145 BPM. That should really be played at about 12:15. It's 10. I'm not going to play that now. And no one got it.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, what's the fucking point?
But I'll be honest with you, I do change my style up where I go. Like, for instance, a couple of weeks ago, I played over in Burnley.
Yeah.
No, Nelson, sorry. A Europa bar. And it's very... In that, I always find in that area, you always have to play the donk heavy stuff regardless of what time.
Yeah. So I've had this as well in the past. Rob got me a gig for Sanctuary. It was a HTID event on Blackpool Pier.
2012.
Probably was. You probably know more than me. And Andy Farrell needed a warm-up DJ, and Rob said, yeah, me mate Woodzey will do it. So I did it. The way I had warmed it up, I was playing loads of like perpetual motion tunes, things like that. And then the guy who come on after me just went one for the pitch and played Alex K, Instant Momentum. 1 minute after that, and I'm like, okay, so I know how this scene sort of works now.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it to be like that because Kutsky was on the main stage, and I'm like, there's no point playing banging stuff the same as him. You know, let's try and mix it up a bit so there's a room too. I just don't get it, you know.
So for me, for instance, I'd play. So like when I was in Burnley, I was on first.
Yeah.
I started with Bellissima, DJ Quicksilver.
Yeah.
That was at like 138, something like that, maybe 137. And I was playing it and mixed it into. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. I just saw I'd play on the fly, so it's G Spot Energy. And then I went into what was the third tune where I thought I'm gonna have to start spicing this up a bit. Like, I then went into this is gonna fucking be a big fucking gap in the podcast here, but I can't remember the third tune now. And I went in and I got it up to like 140 because I just needed the people who were there. I needed to get them sort of fucking foot tapping or something.
Yeah.
And then in the end up, I finished my set at, like, from I think I was on either like 9 till 10 or 10 till 11. Finished my set at like 145, and I was like, I could have easily finished at 140 there, but it's just I was having to adapt to that crowd, so I was pulling out the more donk heavy stuff. Yeah. Whereas if I was in, for instance, my area and I was on the first hour, they sort of respect that it does progress through the night. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So for me, I'd have maybe wouldn't have played the donk heavy stuff 9 till 10. Yeah. Well, in fact, I definitely wouldn't. But as I said, it's just a matter of reading the crowd. But it is what it is, isn't it? There's not much you can do.
Personally, for me, I don't give a fuck about the crowd. They don't give a fuck about what I'm playing whatsoever. You know what I mean? They just want to wear the favourite donk tune at the moment. So,
hey, just a little break between recording. I just wanted to get on to you about the It's Time to Refresh free birthday event that we're running. But basically, I've put on a free party, and it's an unbelievable lineup. I've dropped the flyer right now. We've got from A to Z, if I can remember rightly, it's Andy Kelly. Then we've got myself. I've also got General Bounce. And last but not least, we've got John G. Really looking forward to this lineup. Like, it's all for free, and that's at Club 135, Whitehaven, and it's on Saturday the 25th of March. It's Time to Refresh. First birthday. Get on it. You know it makes sense. back for part 3 of the podcast. We just had to stop for a little pee break and
Oh
that.
yeah, sorry, got a proper weak bladder. Various reasons.
I just wanted to get onto you as well, because obviously we've talked about this over like text and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want to get onto you about the sort of the hard house and hard style thing.
Yeah, still love it. I sort of think Hard House sort of done the same as what Scouse House did.
Yeah.
It was produced a lot more homemade. No disrespect to all these people, like who was it? Tom Parr, Tom Perry,
Yeah.
all these people, they started making it, whereas it wasn't as Hard House what it used to be, where it was these people. But it's still good. It sort of died on its arse a bit. It was just so good. I sort of say to myself, the reason I liked it so much is because the tunes were long, so you could get longer mixes out of them,
Yeah.
which is what I've always loved doing. The longer you can mix, the longer both channels are up,
Yeah.
and you can mix. I've always loved that.
There's an art form to it as well, isn't there?
There is, yeah, and there's so many options as well. Obviously, you have the untidy stuff, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Um,
The untidy stuff that they're doing now is unreal.
yeah, I heard one the other day. Is it Drew Dabble or somebody like that? And I was like, that's really good.
It reminds me of like early Scout stuff.
Definitely,
like,
yeah.
There's hints of it there where it's a bit underground.
100%. And so much respect for the people who are still putting the effort in and making that stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, as I said before, I was heavily involved in the Scouse House scene. Whereas I should have put all my eggs in the Hard House basket.
Yeah.
I think my first tidy weekend was 12 or 13, which from my perspective was a bit late.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that I got to attend these things.
You're gonna go into that?
Yeah.
You've got any stories from the weekend there?
How long have you got? Do we need to book the studio for another hour? No, it's just unbelievable. People, unless you've been to one, you will never understand.
Yeah.
And I never understood until I went to one, and I was like, holy fuck. Imagine naming 50 of your favourite DJs. You're staying on the same campsite as them for 3 days.
Yeah.
Pontins in either Southport or
Prestatyn
in North Wales. You just like, I was just so, as the same as like the Scouse House, I was just so in awe. I was arriving there of a Friday, going to the shop to buy ciggies, and the fucking tidy boys are in the shop.
Yeah.
That's just like, I can't believe this. And then it was just so structured. You had one arena of a night, 2 arenas, then there was like a third room, like a not bounce, like Hard House bounce.
Yeah.
With
Bouncy
like,
Hard House
like
stuff,
JP and Jukesy, people like that. But it was just so, it wasn't even just the music, it was just the atmosphere, because there was 2,000-3,000 people there, and they were all there for the same reason as you.
Yeah.
For a good time.
Yeah.
And to experience Hard House the way it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if the tidy boys are involved, there's just entertainment guaranteed.
Yeah.
And
They always theme it and stuff like that. That's what I love about it, I think.
yeah, and that was so great. Like, I think it must have been, was it 14? The weekend of Strikes Back. No, it was 12.
Yeah.
Tidy weekend of 12, the weekend of Strikes Back. And to me, that was boss, because it was fucking Star Wars themed. And as
We'll get into that in a minute.
I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
So there was just people on the dance floor dressed up as fucking Boba Fett and things like that.
Who'd you go to your first weekend with?
Probably my best friend is a guy called Ray Oliver.
Yeah.
A product of Ian Redmond's DJ school.
Yeah.
That's how I met him. He sort of was the same as me. Scouse House, he'd be going Pleasure Rooms, 051 and Sunrise.
Yeah.
But in his vinyl collection at home, he had Tidy Tracks tunes.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it clicked. He's still my best friend now. Probably speak to him on a daily basis.
Yeah.
He's got a missus and kid and that now. People have different lives, don't they? But it was him. Yeah. But he went to a few earlier than me. Obviously, I was fannying about in Magaluf with Ian and things. Yeah. So I think we weekend at 8 or 9 with his first ones, and he's like, how the fuck haven't you been to one of these yet? And I'm like,
knowing your taste in music.
yeah. And I'm like, I'm coming, I'm coming, lad, don't worry. But I eventually went to weekend at 12, I think it was.
Is there any moments that stick out for you, as in you've been in, say, a certain arena or whatever, and a tunes came on and you thought, this is me, this?
Yeah, so many times. Don't know if people will be aware of the tune K90, Red Snapper.
Yeah.
Big riff, hard house tune. K90 was on live, and I was out of my head on tablets. And he played it live, and I just went so cold. I was like, oh my god. Unreal. Then like Tidy Boys come on with like fucking Beatbusters, Oh Yeah, Come Avar as an intro, and I'm
class tune as well,
bits
by
and
the way.
pieces. I remember seeing BK play the original Prodigy No Good in a set because it's 150 BPM and it worked perfect, and I'm like, clever as fuck, unbelievable, set the room alight. There was just so many things, and then obviously because I was so heavily into me DJing and that,
you could appreciate it as well for that aspect.
Obviously, I go as a clubber, but then the same stance, I'd stand on the barrier in the front and still go, oh, okay, like Roddy Style. Don't know if people remember him. He disappeared pretty quick.
I think he's moved away or something.
Yeah, really technical, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I was
good
like,
producer as well.
Yeah. And I used to watch him, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what's he doing? But there were so many different things. I remember watching Jordan Suckley play the warm-up set.
Yeah.
And look at him now. Unbelievable, doing what he's doing, tech trance, whatever you call it, what he'd play.
Yeah.
But he was on at 10 p.m. of like the Sunday, first set. And I said to Ray, let's go. And he's like, oh no, can't be arsed. I'm going to go out a bit later. And Ray's girlfriend, she said, I'll come with you. And we didn't even dance. We sat at the back because she just knew that I wanted to go. And she was like, I'll come with you. And we'll just sit at the back because we were fucked. We'd been doing stuff for 2 days, you know what I mean? Yeah. But then I always remember seeing a thing called was it Nick Fisher and Sam Bongo, and one of them was a DJ and he played hard house, and then his mate had played the bongos along to the hard house. I've
not seen that, but that sounds absolutely fucking mental.
Unbelievable. Because when they'd mix and they'd mix the tune and the bass lines had changed, he changed the drum loop on the bongos. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I've never seen any of that shit, you know what I mean?
Makes you stand out as well.
Unbelievable. And then obviously the Tidy Boys had come on dressed as fucking Batman and Robin or whatever. It was just so good. But it opened my eyes, and I think it opened a lot of eyes to different music, like we were saying.
Yeah.
Kutsky and Alex Kidd started playing more heavier European, Italian, Dutch hardstyle tunes. And Ray was like, what's this? This is a bit of me. And I was like, oh, it's not really for me. But then I understood it. And personally, for me, if it wasn't for them two, Alex Kidd and Kutsky, bringing that sound over here, it wouldn't have been as big as it was. Yeah. So then the following Saturday weekend, as artists were starting to get booked, Showtech. I remember seeing Showtech, unbelievable. All these Techno Boy, Tune Boy. Yeah. And I think even the Tidy Boys who were putting them events on realised that there was a market for it. So you'd still have your hard house and that, but then like 3 till 6, it'd be Alex Kidd, Kutsky, then Showtech, and then a lot of stuff went on with Tidy, and I think they sold it was rebranded like the Atomic Weekender, which was, to me, it was quite sad really, being emotionally attached to Tidy and the stuff what they were doing, but it made sense, because their music was getting a more electronic. Like, I just class hardstyle as 150 EDM. It's exactly the fucking same. And it catered for a lot more people. It brought a lot more people in who were into the hardstyle and things like that. But yeah, I could talk for
hours about it. So what's your thought? What's your thought on current hardstyle? Like, what's
I only like reverse bass.
Right.
I respect it so much. Like with me friend who mentioned before, Chris Clark, who's Dizzy DJs or Total Control,
quality
or
producer, by the way,
one of a kind. However, a viewer I'd view him. We just really wanted to know how they made that hardstyle sound. Fuck me, you got to have some skill to make that. It took us.
It's because you're pushing the boundaries with regards to how much distortion you can add to kick drums and stuff. Like you're literally like you're dancing on the line with it being a horribly distorted mix.
It's so clever.
Yeah, it's so good how they do it. Reverse bass then. Go on then. Who are you a fan of?
Whoever makes a reverse bass tune, really. I'll be honest, I haven't listened to it for a while, and it's sort of, I'd go looking for the reverse bass style, and I'd listen to 100 hardstyle tunes. I'd maybe find 1, 2 reverse bass things, but then I could pull out 20 and do a mix of 20 reverse bass tunes, and it's just the same, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like doing a mix with 20 Alex K tunes. It just gets a bit boring, but I just love that sound of the kick and bass, and I have done even before I knew what hardstyle was, like Warp Brothers, stuff like that, Norman bass.
I pull an occasional reverse bass track out like in my sets if it's the right time and place.
Yeah,
like I like that MKN stuff. Do you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah,
like,
to me,
it's
same again. That's like a bit more homemade.
Yeah.
It's a bit more UK hardstyle, you could call that, and I think some people actually do. It doesn't sound as good. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's shit, but it just doesn't sound as good as a Techno Boy tune. It doesn't sound as clean.
Like Techno Boy though as well. Like.
Yeah, it just. Did you know we made Zombie Nation?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Oh right, I didn't know that. No.
The remix of Zombie Nation is called the DJ Goose remix, Gius. That's Techno Boy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Fact of the day there.
Class. Right, well, we're just going to move on to the questions and that now, mate, if
go
that's
on.
alright. Because I think we've got your story covered, and then I've got a couple of opinions and that.
Go on.
I'm going to apologise in advance, by the way, for some of these questions. Cause,
why have some people give you these questions?
Yeah, these are questions that have been sent into that Instagram page.
Okay, so.
And, I mean, people who watch a podcast, they know it's for the music, right?
Yeah,
but there's a lot of food involved. There's a lot of, like, stupid shit as well. Like,
I'm all day for that, you know what I mean? We started the podcast talking about what we had for tea last night, so we might as well finish it on some stupid shit. Yeah, classmate. So as I say, if you've got any questions for the podcast, just follow us on Instagram at itstimetoriffresh, and just DM us them. I do put a little post out now and again asking for questions, and then you can reply in the reply box. But yeah, as I say, it's open to anything and everything. That's cool.
So
no
today
problem
was,
whatsoever.
Hi, this is from Josh Moore, and it is, are you an introvert or an extrovert? After watching your podcast, I can't decide what you are. Right, I'll answer this first.
What that means, yeah.
So basically, I'm the most introverted person you could meet.
Yeah.
But I'm very loud at the same time. Like I like my own company. I'm very, and I think it comes across on the podcast of like sometimes maybe I'm a bit moody with stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not moody. Like so, for instance, I'll use this as an example. Like when my little lad was born, we were in the like hospital room and that. And my mum's like an overly excited person. Her mum was overly excited, and I'm just there like I'm proper ecstatic over the moon, but I don't show facial expressions or all like that. Yeah. So for me, I was just like, I'm buzzing, but like I've got no thing to it. So when I'm out in clubs and that, I look quite miserable because I'm not drinking or out like that. What the fuck was that?
It's fucking raining indoors here.
But yeah, so basically, I live in not living my own head, but like. Do you know what I mean? If I'm sitting there making a tune, I'm much happier than I am standing in a nightclub. I'm very my own company type person.
Yeah, I'm definitely like that. I just hate people, really, to be honest. People just wind me up.
So would you say you're more introverted?
Yeah. I enjoy my own company, as I've said earlier on. Like I'm single. I have been all my life. I just realistically couldn't be arsed with a girlfriend. It's just a complete waste of time. I'd rather spend that time with myself or with my mum or with my brother or something. I just hate people in general, really.
I think a lot of people are a bit through with me because I'm sitting here doing a podcast every week and I'm talking to people, so it doesn't come across as like I'm introverted. But
I do things on my own, and I always have. I went to Ibiza clubbing twice on my own. How many people would do that, and that's
would,
just
absolutely.
my personal choice.
Yeah. You don't have like a straggler to like who's like, oh, I don't fancy doing this today, or I don't want to do this today.
And it's not just that. Like, obviously, I've been to like tidy weekenders with Ray and all other people and that, but that's different.
Yeah.
They're there for the same reason you're there.
Yeah.
There's never going to be an argument over who we're going to go and see at 1 o'clock because we're fucking going anyway.
Yeah, I understand that. So would you say you are a more introverted person?
Probably, yeah.
To answer my question, I would say I'm the biggest introverted extrovert you could meet, if that makes sense, because I am like I like to people please as well. That's my downfall.
Yeah.
If you like, for instance, like the people message on the podcast and I feel fucking guilt. I sit there with guilt, like I haven't messaged back, or like I'll do my best to do you know, it's just little things like that where I'm like a bit of a people pleaser, so that's why I would be called maybe extroverted. But it's a good question, Josh, nice one. Right, I'm asking this question, this is fucking grim this, mate, but 4 people have asked the same question, and when I put questions out, thanks to Cal Hewitt for this one as well. I can answer. You don't need to answer this if you don't want to.
If 4 people have asked it, it's going to be a fucking stupid question.
It is. It's the most generic question and it's always written. It must be a copy and paste job because it's always written the exact same way. So, if you had 1 inch in your mum and 1 inch in your dad, would you move forward or move? 1 inch in your mum and then your dad had 1 inch in you, would you move forward or back? I'll keep it nice and simple for you, mate. I'd move 1 inch back because there's a bro code between your father and son. I sat and thought about it because I thought people are just going to carry on asking this question if I do it. This is literally the 4th time it's been asked. So thanks, Cal Hewitt, for the question, and if you want to answer it, it's simply that you would never be able to look at your mum in the same way. I'm just trying to be as honest as I can. And me and my dad would just never talk about it again. It's just one of them things. It's like it happened and that's it. so
to Cal Hewitt and the other 3 people who've asked that question, get a fucking life. Think of a better question. You know what I mean? Instead of
I think it's a interesting. It must be the most generic, weird question to ask on a podcast because
I just think it's
funny
pointless,
how
really.
It must be off a webpage or something. Yeah. Because
I've heard the lads in work ask that question. And I'm like, grow up. Basically.
At least, I give you an answer though, didn't I?
At least they give you an answer. There's my answer. Fucking grow up. Think of a better question.
And last question from the questions today is: did you shit yourself in America? And that's from Cocky UK. A little bit, yeah, I did. So there's an ongoing thing because whenever I go somewhere new, I shit myself. We've covered this in so many podcasts. It's not even because of air or like that. It's just I don't know what it is. Maybe climate. Or something. I went to the Disney parks. We'll sort of fucking talk about this seeing as over here now. Went to the Disney parks and there was we got an email sent out saying there's like a neurovirus thing going around. I got it. My little lad got it, and everyone else in our mates and that never got it. So we were out of action for a day, and I fucking sharted one morning, and I was like, "Oh fuck's sake, man!" And that's how it is.
It's just natural, nothing to be embarrassed about. You know what I mean?
Cocky. I did shit myself. There's your answer. But now we're on to this. You were off the pod. You said about your love for Star Wars, and you said about if you could do one thing, you want to go Galaxy's Edge.
If you're a Star Wars fan, what have you always fucking wanted to do? You've just always wanted to walk around that world what George Lucas created, haven't you? And now Disney have done that. Sort of, they've done it to rival Harry Potter, really, haven't they? If you think about it, what have Harry Potter fans wanted to do? They've wanted to walk down that road and buy a fucking wand. I don't know, I've never seen Harry Potter, can't name you the road or whatever.
Diagon Alley.
That's it, I think Disney capitalised on that. And
I'm not joking, mate. I'll be honest with you. I was expecting a bit of a. I was going to say a shit show, but like Disney tend to ruin things, in my opinion. But I went there and I was expecting like plastic. Like, say when you go to like Tatooine and it's like you'd expect like plastic rocks. This was like authentic. Like it looked real. It looked like you were there.
That's the reason I want to go. And it's not just that. I went to Florida when I was 10. I'm now 37. I've wanted to go back for 27 years.
Slightly different back then.
It was. I always say this to people. When I went to Universal Studios. And you could look at a hoarding with a hole saying "Coming soon, Islands of Adventure." Islands of Adventure wasn't even built. It was flat ground. They bought the land, and there was fuck all there. I was like, "Oh, I need to come back and see what this new park's about."
Unreal,
Never
mate.
been.
They've just done a new ride. Is it the Velocicoaster?
Yeah,
Fuck.
that looks good.
Hey, I'm not a roller coaster person. I don't like roller coasters. It's
Yeah.
not the fact that I'm scared of them. I'll go on every roller coaster
Yeah.
if you want me to. Like I did go on every roller coaster while we were there several times, but I don't get the thrill of being safe.
Yeah,
I sound
yeah.
confused. Like
No,
so,
I get you. Yeah,
so do you know a bungee jump? A bungee
yeah.
jump for me.
Not a fucking chance.
Yeah, no, but for me, if you're chasing the roller coaster thrill,
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
That might sound a bit fucking backwards, but you go on a roller coaster for the thrill of danger.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? If you're chasing the thrill, and you see these people, and you always I feel ultra safe. So I'm trying to think what was there. There was my mind's gone blank now. There was like a Hulk roller coaster, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but you're always like dead safe, and you are going fast, and there is like a thing to it. But I could sit there and just not enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like roller coasters.
Yeah.
I went on this Velocicoaster, and I was like, this is what I'm looking for. This is me
Yeah.
finding the hard style of fucking...
Yeah.
I got on it, and the only strap you in, like, it's like a waist
I've
thing.
been on one that does that. Yeah,
But the thing is, it doesn't go all the way down. It's
Yeah.
like it leaves a few inches.
so when you get the airtime, it's like you're
If
floating.
you go upside down, you come
Yeah.
out the seat, and there's nothing holding you in. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's what I'm chasing.
Yeah.
I mean...
I've been on one similar in Portaventura
Yeah.
in Spain, just outside Barcelona. That doesn't go upside down, but it hits some loops.
Yeah.
And when you hit...
It's alright
doesn't
there,
it?
isn't it? I like that there. I've been
Yeah,
there,
I've
so,
been there twice, yeah. Can't
Yeah.
remember what it was called. The big fucking white one.
Yeah.
And it just sits in
Quality.
your lap, so when you go over the bump, you
Yeah.
get the airtime, and like, well, the little Spanish fella next to me, I thought he'd went into cardiac arrest, you know what I mean?
Class. But yeah, so you were saying about Star Wars and that. Is there one thing you want to see while you're there?
Just the whole thing.
Whole thing.
I want to go on the rides. Obviously, I've watched these YouTube videos of the ride experience, the
Yeah.
POV and that.
Yeah.
I just want to experience it. It'd be the same, like, I love the Dark Knight films, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? If they built somewhere where I could go and walk around Wayne Manor, it'd just be the same thing. Well, it can
Yeah.
really. It's in Nottingham, innit?
Yeah.
But that's it. I just want to go and experience it.
Right.
Because...
There was two moments for me where I thought, wow, this is good.
Yeah.
And it was standing, do you know on A New Hope where they meet Han Solo?
Yeah.
And you come out and he's like, this is the Falcon.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
rebuilt that there.
Yeah.
And it's larger than life. It's like so big that I thought it was just going to like... Do you know when people say they go and see the Statue of Liberty in America
Yeah,
and they get
yeah.
there and it's much smaller than the
Yeah.
thing? I got there and I was like, this is fucking huge. This is, and it
Yeah.
was just like set out like that area. I was like,
Yeah.
wow. And then as well, you go on the ride. I'm so bad with the names. Of the
Ride
rides,
of
eh?
the Resistance.
The ride, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you go there, and do you know that the hangar where they escape from on most of them, to be honest with you, it's in the Death Star, and,
Yeah.
and it's like all black, reflective. So
Yeah.
You go in there, and there's just hundreds of stormtroopers like marching, and
Yeah, I've seen it.
Honestly.
And it's like open to space. The
Yeah.
space hangar, isn't it? Yeah, I've
it's
seen that.
So fucking good. There's people dressed up in the costumes,
Yeah.
and then they'll so you get like the I don't know what they're called, not sergeants, but
The first order, aren't they? First order, what do they call it?
generals.
Generals, yeah.
So the generals are there with the pointy hats and stuff like that, and they're like call your names and that when you're there. It's quite the proper staying character.
Yeah.
But then there's like, if you're walking slowly, there's the stormtroopers like with the blasters and the egging you on, like move along. It's
but
class.
that's part of the experience. That's
Yeah.
what I want to experience. And as I said about like me love for them 3 Batman films, when I went to New York, that's what it was like. It was like I was walking around Gotham City.
Really? Is that what it's like? Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been to New York?
No, well, I want to go.
I've been twice, and I'm going again in 2 years when I'm 40, because it's like I'd live there. I'd pick the chewing gum off the floor for a job there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just somewhere for the whole of my life where I've always admired and that. Just everything about it, the yellow taxis, the skyscrapers, the smells, the people.
Yeah. See, for me, when I always imagined America as a kid, I've touched on this before on the podcast as well. I always imagined it as New York, like that busy skyscrapers, a bit rough around the edges, and everything there, like as you want, like diners and shit like that. I'm like, I need to go and I want to go. And when we originally planned the trip, it was to go to somewhere like that. But then, obviously, my mates were like, "Oh, we'll go Florida, Florida, no worries."
But go to New York, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely recommend it.
as I say, there's so much I want to see there as well. Like, as I say,
And it's better than you think. As you said, when I got there, I was like, and I had jet lag, so I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning. I just went out for a walk at 4:30 in the morning. Evidence that McDonald's is open. You know.
It's larger than life sort of
yeah.
surreal experience.
100%. And like, you go and look at the Empire State Building, you're like, that's what I was like. And when I go again for the 3rd time, I'll probably still be like that.
Excellent, mate. We're just going to sort of tie today up, if that's all right.
That's fine by me, lad. Really enjoyed this.
Did you?
As I said, speaking to you, I've wanted to do this for a while. I don't really care if anyone watches this. Well, I do for your sake, but I'm nobody really.
Yeah.
I just think I've got a good story to tell.
Yeah.
Probably missed a few bits. Probably remember them tomorrow and that.
As I said, that's always the case, mate.
I've watched a few of your ones. Really enjoyed the one with Finchy, and I thought, maybe one day you might ask me, and you did.
Yeah. As I say, I am always up for getting return guests on, so there's no doubt in time. Back down here, and might even get a double up episode or
with somebody else where we could bounce things off each other. I think Ian would be a good one for you.
I might get in contact with Ian and see what the crack is. I've never bothered him about it yet.
I think he'd be a really good one, and I'm not being big-headed. I don't even have to be on the camera. I could be over there because I could remember some things he wants and say, about that, you know. I think he'd be a good one for you, especially with them getting to number 2 in the charts.
Yeah.
You know, if it wasn't for fucking Blue Cancerell, they would have got to number 1.
Class. I think it will be a good episode. So before we tie today up, it's what I do with everybody. You're going to get the electric chair.
Okay, what's that?
So for instance, we'll say you're in fucking New York because I've still got an electric chair over there. I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
You're getting put
crazy
on death row because you broke a rule in which you didn't even know existed because Americans are fucking mental. Right, and you're granted one last meal. You can have a starter, main, dessert.
Salt and pepper sumacs.
No.
Forget it.
Go on.
So what for the starter?
Well, you can have a starter, dessert, main and dessert, and a drink. But you don't need to have all 3. If you
drink cherry coke.
Right, cherry coke.
Love cherry coke for years. Probably like a steak and chips or something with peppercorn sauce, like a New York steak.
Right.
Don't really do starters. I'd rather just have a big fat scram.
Right. What about dessert? You getting a dessert?
Anything ice cream.
Ice cream.
Baskin Robbins. Did you go there when you were in America?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Class. What was your favourite place to eat there before we go?
We haven't got enough time.
Did you try Olive Garden?
No.
Olive Garden's the best food I've ever had in my life.
I went to Jersey. When I was in New York, I went to Jersey Mike's, which is like a Philly cheesesteak Subway type place.
Oh, class.
Unbelievable.
Unreal.
And they do like a 6 foot long. For like a dinner, you know, where they cut it up into smaller pieces.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them, man. They look class. I thought you went for one person now. I was like,
no.
They didn't know I was
I'd
around.
probably give it a good go in me pot smoking days, but not anymore.
So where can people find you? I know you don't really push yourself and
I'm not really interested if no disrespect if anyone wants to find me or if they don't, but my Instagram's Woodzygram. I don't even know what my SoundCloud or Mixcloud is.
You'll be able to find him on SoundCloud. There's a few mixes out there. Just search DJ Woodzey. You'll know what you're looking for.
Something will come up, yeah.
You've got a few mixes on there, like Make Some Noise mixes, a warm-up mix.
I really enjoyed doing them Make Some Noise ones. It was a chance to put a load of music on there what nobody else would know. And that's what me and Rob always sort of liked, you know. Obviously, people were getting drip fed. No disrespect to Lee Butler, but people, even myself, were just getting drip fed every Friday night what he was playing. And then, obviously, it opened a whole new world to all the European stuff, your Bushwankers, Clubheads, all the Mobiz releases and that. But I need another piss, so I'm going to have to...
No worries. So what we'll do is just tie today up. Just want to say one thing before we go. If you're enjoying this ride, why don't you check out the Patreon, because we're going to be doing Patreon exclusives. The studio is nearly built that we're in, that I'm doing. It's going to look amazing when it's done. You can sign up now at patreon.com/itstimetoriffresh. It's only £3 a month, and for that you're supporting the podcast and you get every track I put out, it goes on there first. Don't tell anyone though. Also, I got asked on the previous episodes about the jumpers. The jumpers aren't for sale yet, but there will be at some point. I'll have t-shirts and jumpers. I just want to say a nice one for coming on, mate. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Absolutely. If you've enjoyed this, then share it. Let Woodsey know as well. Follow him on Instagram, all that shit. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.